And we are back. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. It is none other than yours truly, Pat, a.k.a. the Cool Connoisseur, a.k.a. the Bear of Oakland, a.k.a. the frustrated fan of a team who's trying to find a stadium. Of course, I'm here with my right-hand man, Roy, a.k.a. the Bearded Bulldog, and this is the Sports Wars podcast. In the aftermath of the defense bowl, the boring bowl, what are we calling it today?
Definitely the boring bowl is up there. The Maroon 5 opening act, the opening and closing act.
The sicko mode bowl. We are a week removed, and we got some early NFL offseason news to get into, as well as our Q&A from our YouTube section video from yesterday. But to go ahead and get right along into it and unpack some of the various stuff taking place. Super Bowl 53. You know, we joke a little bit. The game was a defensive slugout, as we covered in our episode last week. And now that the dust has settled from what ultimately ended up being, yes, another Patriots win, the ratings for the game were down 10 million viewers from last year. And last year was down from the year before. Now a lot of analysts and various, figures within, TV organizations, particularly CBS, are kind of, looking around, scratching their heads. I'm sure the folks at Fox Broadcasting who are going to get next year's Super Bowl down in Miami are kind of looking like, is there a little bit of cause for concern here? Like, obviously, it's still the Super Bowl. It's still a huge deal. But you lose 10 million viewers, that's a lot of potential ad revenue gone that they probably were banking on in some form or fashion. What are your thoughts?
I mean, a couple things. Was there any commercials that stuck out of you? I know you're not one of the fans that kind of stick around for the commercials, but usually there's at least one like notable. Well, at least a handful of notable ones. To me, the most notable commercial this year was the NFL 100 commercial. Which, if you haven't had a chance, man, check that out. It's fucking hilarious. The commercials were terrible. The halftime show kind of turned a lot of people off. I didn't think Maroon 5 was that divisive of a band. And then when they got Big Boy in, actually, you can check my my video from earlier this year when it was announced that Maroon 5 was going to be the halftime act. I actually dropped a video asking why not Outkast, why not any of the other many Atlanta acts, not just hip hop, but many Atlanta acts or Georgia acts.
Right.
And they did. They brought in Big Boy and Travis Scott, who I think is from Atlanta also.
He's from Houston, actually.
Oh, okay. See,
but he collaborates with the Migos, who are from Atlanta, so it's not too much of a stretch.
So I mean, the backlash from the halftime show for many reasons. Then the Super Bowl itself. I mean, the viewers don't know going in that the Super Bowl was going to be a dud. I mean, when it got to halftime and it was 3-0, I think a lot of people tuned out. But I mean, let's call it what it is, man. It's Patriot fatigue. This is 3 years running. And the running joke throughout, I guess, the internet is whenever the Patriots make it, they show a map of the United States. It's like, oh, this is everybody that wants the Patriots to win. And it's just that little pocket in the Northeast. And then this was like, oh, this is who everyone else wants to win.
Yeah.
The other team. There's
minus the other
states.
Minus the other pocket in New Orleans.
Yeah, this year we had the New Orleans pocket who wanted New England to win. Could that possibly be a part of it? The New Orleans fans boycotting the Super Bowl? I mean, they apparently there's many bars, a big thing in New Orleans on Bourbon Street that didn't show the Super Bowl at all. And then the media blackout of the Super Bowl coverage in New Orleans, which is still hilarious to me. But man, I mean, the Super Bowl is usually event television, and I mean, everybody kept saying it about. It's interesting to me that everybody kept saying that about the NBA with the 3-4 times of Cavs Warriors, and it's
Right.
just like by the third or fourth one, it's just like fuck, man, like come on. And everybody starts getting fatigued with that. And nobody brought up like, hey, we're just sick of seeing the fucking Patriots. And it was, I mean, they've been in 3 in a row. They're 2-1 in the last 3. What they last 3, and then what is it? 4 out of the last 5. I mean,
the only non-Patriot Super Bowl of the last 5 has been Carolina versus Denver,
and that was,
which coincidentally enough was also covered by CBS.
Yeah, and then the one before that was, if correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't that Seattle, New England?
Correct.
And the one before that was Denver, Seattle. The Seattle blowout win. So I mean, it's New England fatigue, man. Anybody outside of Boston or outside of the asshole wearing the Patriots gear is just it's sick of seeing it. I mean, I don't. And of course, it comes off as salty, and the Patriots fans are just you're just mad. Like, yeah, motherfuckers. Yeah, we don't. Nobody gets pumped for a Patriots Super Bowl anymore. There's nobody.
The thing that kills me about the whole, well, you're just salty, you're just mad, you're just haters. Like, okay, if any other team were in the same position, what makes you think for 1 second that the sentiments wouldn't be different? Like, every NFL fan is emotionally invested into their team. And if their team isn't winning, much less at the hands of your team, it's going to be the same shit. Like, no offense. Like, yeah, the accomplishment is great. Just from an objective standpoint, yeah, you tied the Steelers, you won 6. It's a big deal. No one is saying it's not a good accomplishment. No. But if that was some other team that would maybe be considered a Cinderella for the first few, like the Vikings or some shit like that, you think by the 4th or the 5th or the 6th, it wouldn't be the exact same sentiments? Like,
I can promise you, had it been Chiefs Rams or Chiefs Saints, the ratings wouldn't have been down. So I mean, it's honestly, I feel like if it probably would have been Patriots Saints, the ratings wouldn't have been down. And that's not fuck the people in New Orleans, but the marketing for Breeze versus Brady in a Super Bowl writes itself. I mean, that would be the equivalent of, I mean, Kobe and LeBron in the finals was a matchup we never got to see.
Correct.
So, I mean, the best quarterback matchup, I think, of our lifetime, it was what? Breeze and Manning. And it was really Breeze before he was like, oh my God, this guy's a legend. It was early, like he was still writing the book of his Hall of Fame career. So it's kind of like,
I'm just jogging through my memory in terms of the matchups.
I mean,
another pretty good one is more recent than like the prior era. I would have to go ahead and give a quick nod to Aaron Rodgers and Big Ben in 45. Like that was a pretty box office matchup.
I mean, yeah, I could see that. I mean, because let's go over the last 10. We got, of course, Brady and Goff, Foles and Brady and Ryan. I mean, of course, I'm an Atlanta fan, so I'm going to hold Ryan up a little higher. Peyton Manning and Cam versus Cam, but even then, everybody knew that was going to be Peyton's last game.
Yeah.
I mean, Russell Wilson versus Brady, but that
was before.
That was
before Russell really developed as a passer that he is now.
And then we got Russell versus Peyton Manning. Before that
was supposed to be good, turned out to be a dud.
Then we got Flacco versus Kaepernick. Manning versus Brady Part 2. Then Rodgers, Roethlisberger 40 and 45. I mean, even then, I mean, yeah, Roethlisberger had won 2 Super Bowls by then. But I mean, that was.
The most marquee one I can think of in terms of lifetime legacy One happened when I was, alive, not to be morbid, but this was back when I was much younger, before I really had a grasp and understanding of football. And that was Brett Favre versus John Elway.
Yeah, that's that's the one I was actually going to bring up. That one,
and then
that's probably the greatest one of my lifetime.
A year before, this was in January of '85. A year before I was born, there was Montana versus Marino.
Yeah. Well, when I say lifetime, I mean my football watching lifetime, which started
Right.
One of the first Super Bowl games I remember watching was San Francisco 49ers versus the San Diego Chargers, and that was in 95. I was about 11 years old. Everything after that, Brett Favre versus John Elway in Super Bowl 32 in San Diego was probably that's probably the greatest matchup of my lifetime. And then, of course, the Manning versus Breeze, and I'd put Manning versus Breeze over Roethlisberger versus Rodgers to me. But I could see that. But I mean, it's as simple as that, man. It's Patriots fatigue. The only thing that I take any consolation in is that Patriots fans are going to pay fucking dearly for this. This doesn't happen. You don't get a Hall of Fame quarterback at the same time as a Hall of Fame coach. It doesn't happen that often.
It's a perfect storm.
And when it does happen, once it goes away, it doesn't happen again. Miami is still trying to replace Dan Marino. San Francisco is still trying to replace Steve Young. They think they may have gotten their Steve Young again. But you don't know that yet. It very rarely happens like it did in San Francisco when they went from Joe Montana to Steve Young. It very rarely happens when you go from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers. It doesn't happen like that. So when Belichick and Brady finally go away, it's 1,000 years of dark. That's what's going to happen. And I know a lot of the Patriots fans now, especially one in particular, is just like, man, can we just enjoy the ride right now? No, fuck no. I'm not enjoying the ride right now. I want somebody to knock these fuckers off. Like I couldn't even enjoy the Eagles' victory because they're assholes. I mean, the Eagles.
I enjoyed the hell out of it, even though I had removed myself from rooting against New England.
Like I want a fan base to knock off the Patriots that I can get behind. Like that's why, when I said anybody but the Saints, like, dude, there's no fucking way I would have rooted for the Saints over the Patriots. And then the Rams.
Yeah, you and I. Granted, I said what I said and I meant it. I from an emotional standpoint, I'm done rooting against them in big games. But even still, in that scenario, just from a moral standpoint, you and I would have been just at odds.
I don't think I would have talked to you for 2 weeks.
I would have been ladling up the fucking gumbo on the sideline. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I made the statement in one of our group chats that if it was the Saints versus the Pats in the Super Bowl, I'm driving to Atlanta and filming Saints practices. I'm letting the air out to Tom Brady's exact specifications. I'm keeping avocado milkshakes on tap for the man.
All that shit.
All of it. Roll in his iron lungs so he can sleep in. I'll be his alarm clock in the morning. Like, hey, Tom, get up. Time for me to massage your calves. Let's go. Like, bro, I'm not I could not.
Come on now.
Yeah, come on now. Don't get up now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's all it is, man. It's Patriots fatigue. We kind of saw what we thought was, I don't want to say the downfall, but as crazy as this sounds, in a Super Bowl winning year for the Patriots, we saw cracks. In the regular season, we saw cracks.
Oh yeah,
and of course, playoffs hit and they flip that switch. But if Houston doesn't shit the bed, then Houston's the 2 seed. And the Patriots are playing a lot of games on the road. If that scenario would have played out, I don't know. If it played out favorably for the Patriots.
There's a lot of very startling irony that takes place throughout the course of an NFL season. The person who knocked the Texans out of the 2 seed and subsequently made the Patriots the surrogate 2 seed was Nick Foles.
Yeah. And it's crazy, like the ripples that Nick Foles created throughout this entire season. And I mean, and
that dude's going to go down as a legend. I'm sorry.
It actually, I think it segues into the bit of Nick Foles news we got this week, in that the Eagles exercised that $20 million option on him, and then he politely declined and paid them $2 million. So he is essentially a free agent. But the rumor is that he is going to get franchise tendered and then traded for a 3rd round pick. And I've got my thoughts on where I think he's going to land. Let's just say I hope he keeps sunscreen. So I don't think I mean, he's going to end up in one of 2 places, and as far as I'm concerned, but I think one I think they could be a contender again. But yeah, man, I'm Patriots fatigue. That's what I'm standing by. I don't think it has anything to do with any other political bullshit. No. The media has moved on from. The players have moved on from. It's not even a talking point outside of one player that's currently in the league.
Anyone attempting to drudge up all that stuff as if it's still a relevant factor like it was 2.5 years ago, it's pretty clear what you're trying to do, and it's also pretty clear that you probably don't have a life. In any case, moving on to some early off-season free agent news, and something that came completely out of left field that no one saw coming.
No rumors about it or nothing. Adam Schefter just dropped the fucking bomb and
nothing at all
off of Twitter.
I mean, he just mic drop dipped. Kareem Hunt is now a member of the Cleveland Browns, signed a 1-year deal, and is joining the ranks of Chubb, and it's Duke Johnson out there, correct?
Yeah. Doesn't that sound like a fucking law firm? Chubb, Duke, and Hunt.
Yeah.
Like, that sounds like, we're gonna get you that fucking money.
Oh yeah. Especially if you have some sort of, workplace related incident, physical altercation. Yeah, they're the ones you're gonna dial right up.
The law firm of Chubb, Duke, and Hunt with the billboards across the country.
Right. This is a pretty big deal. Now, the initial reaction I was hearing from a lot of various people who are, inclined with this sort of stuff is that they were surprised that he chose a team that already has a number 1 back and a pretty solid number 2 who can catch out of the backfield, do all that good stuff. Earlier today, I know you mentioned him mentioned Johnson almost as like a poor man's Le'Veon Bell, which I think is a really astute comparison. But from my standpoint, is like, okay, yeah, there are teams out there like the Redskins and the Eagles and the Jets and the Packers who really need a guy like Kareem Hunt. But with the whole investigation, not from a criminal standpoint, but just from the NFL, because they're still trying to figure out what the appropriate reaction to it is, I think Kareem Hunt was just like, okay, I'm going to sign with whoever is willing to kind of look past this transgression and give me a shot so that I can maintain my career and not end up blackballed and blacklisted.
I agree. And actually, there's something else that I actually just stumbled across that makes even more sense. If you were far away from home and you kept kind of getting a little bit of trouble, where would be the first place you'd want to go back to?
I would imagine the point of origin.
Kareem Hunt went to college at Toledo.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know if it's University of Toledo or Toledo University. He actually was born in a small town that I've never heard of before right now called Willoughby, Ohio, which is every bit of 19 miles away from Cleveland.
Not even a half-hour drive.
25 minutes. He is a 25-minute drive from the city he was born in. Kareem's going home. He is from the area. He will be able to, on game day, leave the stadium and drive to his mama's house to get home cooking. So that, to me, makes even more sense.
Right.
That he signed in a place that he knows. He grew up. I mean, I'm unfamiliar with. I just mapped that out, so I'm unfamiliar with the some of the geography there of Ohio, but from where he went to college, it's about a 2-hour drive. Toledo is a 2-hour drive from Cleveland. So college, and it's all along the same, looks like I-90. It's all along the same fucking road. So 2 hours and 15 minutes from college to where he was born to total drive. College, where he was born to college, back to Cleveland, about a 2-hour drive. And he is right there back home, signed a 1-year deal worth only $1 million. So literally no risk for Cleveland.
None whatsoever.
If he comes in, if he gets on the practice field and the NFL hands down their verdict and they're like, fuck you, 16 games, you're done. Cleveland go, well, fuck it. We got Nick Chubb. We got Duke Johnson.
Yeah.
If they come down and say, okay, you weren't convicted of anything, there's some fucked up video, but you didn't punch anybody, 6 games. Cleveland go, fuck it. We've got Nick Chubb. We've got Duke Johnson. And 6 games means that's right around the trade deadline, so Duke Johnson can hang out, and then we'll trade him at trade deadline. And now we've got Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb, and no risk. Both are on tiny deals. There's almost no money. Their biggest ticket offensive item is still Jarvis Landry. Baker's on rookie deal. And then the greatest thing of all this, besides the 1-year, $1 million contract, besides Kareem being back home, is now Cleveland holds his restricted free agent status, which means they can match any offer after this year that anyone attempts to sign him for. They have first refusal, and if he comes out and just balls out for Cleveland, they can be like, oh no, we're gonna keep him around. Or if Chubb shows his ass and he like, okay, this is the future, they can let him walk, and they get compensated for it. So worst case scenario, they end up with a 3rd round pick.
So either way, whether he excels or even if he really, really just, like you say, balls out, they're getting the benefit of it tangibly in terms of game performance and after the fact, in case anybody else wants to, get excitable and say, well, what do you want for him? Okay, well, what are you willing to give up?
Yeah.
Like, they're completely in the driver's seat. And that's something from an organizational standpoint we're not used to from Cleveland at all.
Even Browns fans are in the chat going, this is a completely un-Cleveland-like move.
Yeah.
Like this, even the Browns fans are like, I'm fucking shook because I'm not used to seeing smart decisions like this.
This is a high self-esteem mood from a team we're used to doing low self-esteem shit. Yeah. Here you go, New England. Here you go.
Cleveland is the type of team that would have was a big. They're the type of team that would have paid like. And don't get me wrong, I love this guy. He plays for my Falcons. Tevin Coleman. Tevin Coleman's a free agent. They're the type of team that would have, or no, even better, last year, San Francisco 49ers, Jerick McKinnon. Jerick McKinnon's a career backup in Minnesota. Fuck it. Let's make him the 5th highest paid running back in the league. That is a Cleveland Browns move. Like, this dude has been a glorified kick returner almost his entire time in Minnesota, but San Francisco goes out and is like, you know what? Fuck it. We're gonna give him more money than than Devontae Freeman and Le'Veon Bell make right now. We're going to give him that much. And, like, dude, he hadn't done shit. Meanwhile, Cleveland is like, this kid was arguably rookie of the year last year. And I say arguably because Fournette and Kamara, nobody can tell me shit. Kareem Hunt led rookies in rushing yards just because Kamara's offense allowed him to score more touchdowns doesn't mean he was more valuable.
Right.
And he was well on pace this year to break. He played 11 games with 800 rushing yards. He already had 7 touchdowns. He had 8 rushing touchdowns all of last year. So in 16 games last year, he had 11 total touchdowns. In 11 games this year, he had 14 total. He was well on his way to another career year. And that was with Mahomes slinging the ball all over the fucking field. So he's gonna give Baker Mayfield a little bit more confidence back there. Like, hey, we got Mayfield, or we got not Mayfield. We got Nick Chubb. We got Kareem Hunt. I can hand it off anytime. Imagine putting both those fuckers in the backfield at the same time. Chubb's not going to bitch because he's been sharing carries since he was in Georgia. Imagine Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb, when he was a freshman, he shared carries with Todd Gurley. When he was a sophomore, junior, and senior, he shared carries with Sonny Michel. And now that he's in college or in pros, he's sharing carries with Kareem Hunt.
It's and you know that I tend to look at situations like this a little bit in terms of big picture, long term. Overnight, you can take those 3 guys and square them up with any backfield in the league, and they're better than most and as good probably as Kamara and Ingram down in New Orleans. Like,
I would go so far to say in that division, they're the best.
They're going to run the ball down the Steelers and the Ravens' throat. Like,
and then
they
on top of that,
they could legitimately have Baker Mayfield drop back maybe 15 times at the most.
And it's going to allow them to kind of slow Baker down. Like, we don't need you to throw 40 times a game because we've got 2 backs that can carry the ball 15 times each.
Like a 2nd and 4, fuck passing.
Yeah, and then when you start when the Steelers defense starts creeping up, oh shit, Chubb's back there, oh shit, Hunt's back there. Who the fuck's guarding Jarvis Landry? Where's Njoku at?
The various secondaries of the Steelers and the Ravens. I won't even mention the fucking Bengals because they're a disgrace.
And I mentioned this in the group today that this is a fucking power move. This is a move that, to me, makes them the favorite in the AFC North. Pittsburgh is about to lose Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown. The Bengals, like you said, are a fucking mess. And the Ravens are about to come to a hard reality that a lot of people already realize, and that's Lamar Jackson's play style is not sustainable.
It's not going to get you through the drudge of a 16-game season. It's not going to get you through Week 11 in shitty weather. Against
that play style finally caught up to Cam Newton, and Cam is a giant of a man. Cam Newton is 6'6",
enormous,
250, 260 easily. Lamar Jackson is like 6'1", $180. There's no way he takes the beating that Cam took.
Again, mentioning the insane irony, Lamar has the exact same body type as RG3.
Unsustainable.
Like,
I know
those guys they're built like receivers. Like,
and
not even slot guys, wide outs. Like,
I know as a Falcons fan, like, I watched Michael Vick. I watched his body crumble every year. Like, I watched him break his leg in the preseason. I watched the play style is not sustainable. It just you can learn like Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson has kind of early on he realized at all the hits he was taking, he realized I can't sustain this. This is not
right.
This is not lending itself to a 10, 11, 12-year career.
And now he's the best deep pass thrower in the league.
Yeah,
like
because
Big Ben, sorry, Russell got that spot.
I mean, if Seattle could do anything to put anything offensively around him, the rest of the division would be in trouble. But they just, I don't know what it is. Pete Carroll, just like his scouting reports ran out on guys he didn't recruit in college. But I mean, yeah, man. I mean, it's the Pittsburgh is going to fall back down. I say fall back down to earth. They missed the playoffs this year. There's
that whole process really started 2 years ago when they couldn't outgun the Jaguars at home.
Yeah. And in Baltimore, like I said, they Baltimore was a nice story this year, but they kind of fell ass backwards into the playoffs.
Yeah, and I mean that their defense is lights out for not particularly having a bunch of quote unquote big name guys, but
we've seen this before.
When your offense is going free and out all the time, guys are going to get tired.
I mean, ask Minnesota.
Yeah.
Ask Minnesota. The defense could be great. But if you're on, I mean, ask Minnesota, ask Denver the year before with fucking Trevor Siemian as the quarterback. And ironically enough, Trevor Siemian was the backup quarterback in Minnesota this year. So
an endless cycle, man. It all works itself out.
Cleveland,
but yeah,
AFC North champs.
That's going to be exciting to see. Like, I know a lot of people claim it, but like as a fan of a defunct team, literally right now, I can definitely emphasize with Cleveland, and to see them legitimately be good, and like it's not just out in the ether. It's like you tangibly have good players and good play calls. It's going to be very exciting to see a paradigm finally shift.
I don't see how anybody can really root against Cleveland. You have to be an asshole to like, Cleveland loses. Like what? Like
you're a piece of shit. First off, picking on the Browns, you're a piece of shit. Two, picking on any Cleveland team trying to prosper post LeBron's second departure. Like, fuck off.
Yeah. I mean, the only people that are bummed out about Kareem Hunt signing with the Browns are fantasy football owners. That's it. Because he's going to share. Everybody knows Chubb had a very good year. I mean, he broke I believe he broke the Browns rookie rushing record, which was held by a guy by the name of Jim Brown.
It's a big deal. Like him and what's the name of the kid in Detroit? Kerryon Johnson.
Yeah,
I know he broke out that he was the first to get 100 rushing yards in that game against New England of all people since Barry Sanders, I believe. So
yeah. So I mean,
it was just some young backs doing it.
SEC football. Kerryon went to Auburn. Nick Chubb went to Georgia.
Southern boys, man. Whatever they're eating, whatever they're sipping on, I hope they pass some to your Falcons so that they can stay upright.
I just need them to drink some milk.
They need some milk, man.
Oh, man, if you actually get a chance, kind of a side note here, if you ever get a chance, man, look up Nick Chubb's family. They actually they're kind of a big deal here in Georgia. His uncles and granddads and great uncles. It's a very interesting story, man. Just check it out.
Oh, yeah?
Anybody on YouTube, man, check Wikipedia, man. Fuck it. Go to Wikipedia. Look at Nick Chubb. You probably heard. I mean, he's got a cousin. His cousin actually was drafted higher than him this year. Bradley Chubb.
Okay.
Yeah, that's him and Nick Chubb are actually related. They're cousins. But yeah, that whole the Chubb family is it's some real interesting shit.
I'm gonna give that a look once we get done. Moving on into our Q&A session. So this is our follow-up from the video that I posted yesterday. We got a handful of inquiries just about various stuff within sports from a few of our subscribers. So again, I do want to extend a personal thank you to everyone who participated, because we do got some good stuff here. First off, now granted, this is just slightly outside of our wheelhouse, but we're aware enough to kind of give a general response. How do you feel about baseball free agency? Many big names have gone unsigned, and training camps officially opened this week. And that is from RC from NYC. Well, I mean, as far as the MLB goes, the main names that I keep hearing over and over and over again are Manny Machado and Bryce Harper.
Yeah.
Those are two like superstar level guys who, as of right now, are not signed anywhere.
Unsigned.
What if anything are you hearing about that?
Last I heard, Bryce Harper got an offer by he was offered a contract by the Giants. I don't know what the parameters of that are, and I believe Manny Machado was offered a contract. The latest news I want to say, he was offered a contract by the Yankees.
Really?
I want to say the Phillies were also in there. Now, is this question asking about our thoughts on free agency as a whole, or just the current baseball market for free agents?
I suppose both, really. It's kind of an open-ended one.
Well, I mean, personally, baseball free agency is the most complicated, convoluted piece of shit free agency in all of sports. I say all of sports, but I mean amongst the traditional big three: baseball, football, basketball.
Right.
Because I don't know enough about hockey free agency to really speak on it. NFL free agency is pretty straightforward. You do have in my lifetime, they worked in rookie deals. Back in the day, if you're a number one pick, like I think Matthew Stafford was the last one that got the monster number one overall pick contract. Now you have you're automatically signed to 4 years with an team option for a fifth year, and then that pay jacks way the fuck up for that fifth year. Basketball, same thing. You get that rookie deal, and now they're starting you get other things like bird rights and the mega, what do they call it? Supermax deal. The
right.
mega Supermax, Big Mac, fucking McDonald's, Burger King deal.
The giant deal that came after the NBA renewed all of its TV contracts, and they were just fucking huge.
Yeah. Baseball, it's a foreign concept to me and you, because like I said, me and you mainly follow basketball and football. A player is typically not eligible for free agency in baseball until they're like 26, 27. Bryce Harper this is I believe his first trip into free agency, and he is like 30. And no, excuse me, he's 26. I apologize. But it's it's crazy to me. Like, you get like, they're going to arbitration. Like, I don't know, nobody's ever fucking explained that. Like, it doesn't, there's no salary cap. There's no, like, teams can decide, what we want to spend, but if a team decides, hey, I want to go cheap this year, they'll go cheap. Where it's not like the NFL where, this is the salary cap, and you have to spend 75% of it to make your team to fucking field a team. And I mean, NBA's got luxury tax and all that. I mean, to me, that's one of the things that's broken about baseball is it's not a level playing field. The Yankees make the most money so they can spend the most money. Same thing with the Dodgers. If you're a big market team, it's generally kind of the scales are generally tipped in your favor. Very rarely, I mean, Kansas City Royals won a World Series a couple years back, but that was after 30 years of tanking. I mean, they were basically the farm team. The joke was that the Royals were the farm team for the Yankees. And then when you start going,
meanwhile, the Cardinals, a few hours away, are just killing it.
Yeah, they're another. But see, they're another one. Depending on what the ownership's what their thought process is. Because I mean, George Steinbrenner, back when he was in charge of the Yankees, it was like, fuck it, spend money, money, money,
Yeah.
money, money, money. And I mean, I was hearing a little bit earlier about now. A few years ago, actually close to a decade ago, the big in-style thing to do was to offer these players 10-year contracts, and they were like ridiculously. I want to say Albert Pujols got a 10-year, damn near $300 million contract, and
Right.
now teams are hesitant to sign those because Pujols is owed like $40 million, 40 or $50 million, and like $60 million in the last 2 years of this contract, and he hasn't, like, he's almost 40. So I mean, imagine. We'll see. Matt Ryan is 32, 33. Matt Ryan's 32, 33. Imagine signing Matt Ryan to a 10-year contract worth $300 million. And it's fully guaranteed. There's no getting out from underneath it in baseball. Baseball has some of the best contracts because they're fully guaranteed. There's no buyouts. Another little tidbit for the YouTube subscribers, look up Bobby Bonilla Day. If you ever get a chance, if you ever decide you want to get into being a sports agent, look up Bobby Bonilla Day. That shit will warm your heart because his agent is a genius. It's I don't know if you know about Bobby Bonilla Day.
I think I've heard his name in passing before. I don't really know anything about him in detail, but to your point, yeah. I mean, baseball contracts in their totality, once you get through the initial process of one getting into the majors in the first place and making a name for yourself, legitimately becoming good, showing that you can just seamlessly make it through the really, really long baseball season, and then hopefully if a team is good enough to get into the postseason, like, for instance, we all know Alex Rodriguez. Over the full lifespan of his career, the Yankees paid him $317 million. That's one dude got paid that much. And now, granted, it was a long and illustrious career. He's one of the best to do it, like in the last 20. But
what's crazy about that is the Yankees were only one of his teams. Like, they're not even the team that originally signed that monster deal. Like, it was the Rangers. And he was the first guy to really kind of break the bank, because I think his first deal was a 10-year, $250 million contract.
Right.
And the Yankees traded for him after like year 3 into that deal. So $75 million of that was paid by the Rangers. And to me, that's crazy. And I mean, and that's like, and on top of that, you don't really hear of baseball players doing endorsements, not like they used to. I remember Nike had an ad campaign when I was a kid with Greg Maddux and Tom Glavine. They're trying to hit home runs and shit, showing how old I am. Greg Maddux, Tom Glavine were pitchers for the Atlanta Braves back in the mid-'90s. Fuck you, one of the greatest starting rotations of all time. I don't give a shit what you say. But they did this whole ad campaign about chicks dig the long ball, and it's Tom Glavine and Greg Maddux. Greg Maddux, who is the nerdiest looking fucker. If you saw him on the street, if you saw Greg Maddux on the street, there's no way he's an athlete. Like, he wore glasses. He was kind of pudgy looking. He looked like an accountant, but he was one of the greatest control pitchers of all time. Like, the dude,
he basically was Brady's combine photo.
Worse, dude. Like, he looked like that.
Oh, shit.
He looked like the accountant for Brady's combine photo. Like, he was the running joke was it didn't look like Greg Maddux probably couldn't break a window with a baseball. That's how that he didn't throw the ball that hard. But that fucker was on a string. Like, if he threw a curveball, it dropped. He was one of the greatest control pitchers of all time. You always hear about power pitchers like Randy Johnson and Roger Clemens, just power, just 100-mile-an-hour fastballs.
Yeah.
Greg Maddux would throw that bitch about 80 miles an hour. but it would drop. Like it would catch you just completely off guard. You'd screw yourself into the ground trying to swing at it. It's some of the shit, man. If you get it, watch some Greg Maddux highlights, man. It'll make your jaw drop, even if you don't like baseball.
Yeah, I got a list of stuff I'm going to be looking into and educating myself after we get done.
Yeah, man, Greg, and they did this whole ad campaign. him and Tom Glavine, chicks dig the long ball, and they'd show him and Glavine in like the batting cages trying to hit home runs and shit. This is the whole time when McGwire and Sosa were doing their home run chase thing during the steroid era, and there's no way you could ever convince me that Greg Maddux did steroids because he does not look it at all.
Yeah, no, it would, especially the shit back in that era, like the effects on the body were way less complex than what they are now.
Yeah.
Our next question coming up, let me double check the username here. It's looking like this says Lost Vulture, excuse me. So the next question from Lost Vulture: what do you think of Ben Simmons having no jump shot but still getting Magic Johnson comparisons? I think it's way too early. I'm a Sixers fan, but point blank, you don't have to defend him outside the paint at all. He wasn't so good in the playoffs last year. Okay. Well, I mean, I think it's fairly well known, probably more so for our prior subscribers than our newer ones, that I'm pretty big on Ben Simmons in terms of major individual talents within the East. I guess you could kind of classify him more along the lines of what might be a late bloomer. He's not just a complete beast monster out of the gate like, a Giannis. But as he develops and as he matures physically, I think the dude, we're going to witness a prodigy. Now, with regard to the jump shot, there was a lot of chatter in the offseason as far as, well, we don't know if he really took any time and dedicated himself to trying to solidify a jump shot. We don't know if it's really on his radar in terms of something he's going to try to work into his wheelhouse, or if he's just not that particular type of player. But, I mean, shit, you look at that game yesterday with the Lakers, clearly he knows how to score, and he's getting in where he fits in. With regard to comparisons to Magic, I mean, as of right now, we kind of have to watch it play out, but as of right now, I can somewhat see it purely from a physicality standpoint because he has that kind of long, lengthy build. Obviously, he has really good court vision. He's a pretty solid passer. So in a real micro, like early stages type of sense, I can kind of see it. But yeah, if he's going to need to develop some manner of a jumper consistently, not, streaky, before we can really get into that.
Yeah, I think the main reason the Magic comparison comes along is because the size, man. that's 6'8", 6'9" point guard. I also like Ben Simmons. I think he does have the potential to be a star. I know LeBron was kind of, he kind of made some comments last year that made people kind of seriously think he was coming to Philly. That LeBron likes Ben Simmons too. I mean, his game, the jump shot is definitely, it needs some work. Pretty much outside the paint, you don't have to guard him. But I mean, the same was with LeBron. I mean, LeBron early on, that 3-point shot was fucking horrendous. Now it's very bad. I mean, it's LeBron's 3-point shot now is at least one that you have to respect. Because he'll nail it.
He'll knock it down, not just at big moments when you really wouldn't expect him to pull up, but like because LeBron's IQ was so high, situationally, when you least expect him to knock down the three and to put the score in a place where you don't want it to be with fucking 48 seconds left in the third, he'll sink it every time. You're just like, shit.
I mean, and Ben Simmons got that praise so fast, I think we forget, man, he's only in his second year in the league. I mean, he's the second year with an asterisk. I mean, but that first year he didn't spend any time on the court. But he's still he's in his second year in the league. He's still learning. He's still feeling out his teammates. The point guard position has now the point guard position has come a long way since me and you started. Like Tim Hardaway, Mark Jackson, Gary Payton. Now it's very much the mold of Russell and Steph and I mean even Ben Simmons is kind of out of that mold because he's not the small shifty. He's
a tower.
So I mean, again, man, it's year two. Is his jump shot needs work, but the kid by all indications seems like a guy who was willing to put in the work to do it. So I mean, he's not a bust by any means.
Oh no,
he needs time.
Not at all.
Yeah, he needs time. I mean, you can't expect. I know in a league full of Hardens and Russell Westbrooks and Currys and LeBrons and Giannis that everybody wants instant gratification. I mean, Giannis, what year is he in? And everybody's talking about him now as an MVP candidate. But he's, 4 or 5 years in? I mean, he's not.
I think I want to say he's in his fourth year.
But he kind of had a little bit of a head start because he didn't go to college here. He started in Europe. And which is kind of funny about some comments that old Luka, the rookie in Dallas, had to say about the NBA game is actually a little easier to score in. So, I mean, all these guys that are kind of the faces of the league, they're not young guys anymore. They're not. No. These are guys that are 7, 8 years in. And, I mean, Harden, I know Westbrook, that shit actually caught me off guard the other day. I was – somehow, Russell Westbrook's in his 8th or 9th year, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, where did the fucking time go? Like, I thought he was. I mean, he's 30. Like I remember he was a young kid. Like, and LeBron's my age. He's like a year younger than me. So I mean, the kid's got time, man. He spent 1 year at LSU. He sat out 1 year, and he's in the second playable year. In the league. So I mean, man,
the second year of consequence.
Yeah, he's got time, man. He's developing. He's getting better. The jump shot's scary, but I don't think it's Lonzo Ball scary.
No, nowhere near. And everybody knows I love Lonzo, but Ben is on a whole other planet from Lonzo.
That Lonzo jump shot is a shit show.
Yeah, he's they got to get in the gym and get that shit fixed, man. In any case, a somewhat related question, and this is from Skip to My Lou. What team do you think is making it out of the East this season? Also, how are the Lakers' playoff chances? So this is kind of a two-parter. But it's going to give us a good opportunity to talk about the state of the Lakers. Well, keeping things on Broad Street. Post trading for Tobias Harris, I'm going to go ahead and go off on a limb. I like Philly to come out of the East now. That combined with what I've been seeing from Boston. One, Kyrie is hurt again. 2, you lose a walk-off to the Lakers, and Rondo is the guy to hit the shot.
The ghost of Celtics past.
3, the Boston Celtics. The New England Celtics blow a 28-point deficit to the LA Clippers.
The Tobias Harris-less
LA Clippers. Yeah, I like Philly to come out of the East now. Embiid, Simmons, Jimmy, and Tobias Harris, and an energized, functional bench, even though their bench is much maligned. I'm not super high on their coach, but they're getting it done, man. 143 points, even in this era, is nothing to sneeze at. So yeah, I like Philly.
I actually heard some analysis that made a lot of sense to me a little earlier on my ride home. Um, we got the top 4 teams in the East. We got Boston, who probably has the deepest, like probably the best top 8 or 9 from starting 5 to the next 4 up. Probably have the deepest 9.
Right.
Then you've got Philly, who probably has the best starting 5 in the East.
Right.
Then you've got Toronto with Kawhi and Lowry, and another kind of under the radar move was Marc Gasol, who I think could
Correct.
add something very, very good to that team. Some playoff toughness, some experience.
Very, very physical guy.
Yeah. And
Yeah, he
then
has that kind of pedigree.
And then we got Milwaukee, who has got Giannis and like the perfect like jigsaw puzzle of role players around him that kind of fit exactly what they're doing.
Accessory pieces.
Yeah, and they're all like, to me, that's what the NBA used to be. It was like, oh, we got our star, but then we got this collection of role playing guys who work around our star very well. Now it's just like, fuck it, let's just force it in and make these square pegs fit in these round holes. I actually think the Boston's not even going to make the Eastern Finals. I think it's going to end up being in the Eastern Finals. I think it's going to be Toronto and Philly. It would not surprise me to see Toronto, but that starting 5 for Philly, I think
it's nasty.
It's going to be too much. I do like Philly out of the East. I think they may be too young to really give the Warriors a series, but I do think it's going to be a better series than it was last year. I mean, it's got to be, right? I mean, 4 games. I mean, if
they were to take us 6, 1, I would not be surprised at all. Mm-hmm. 2, I think somewhere in an office, Adam Silver is kind of going, oh, he's having that sigh of relief. Because, now granted, yeah, my ass was happy. I fucking went to the parade and was just on, cloud 9. But from a competition standpoint, to go from a really, really, really good regular season to some epic postseason play and then a dud in the finals, not really a good look.
Yeah.
And then moving on to the second part of the question, how are the Lakers' playoff chances? So this really is our first chance post-trade deadline to speak about, well, just the overall state of the Lakers. Right now they're sitting at 28-28. Now, obviously, they had that walk-off win in Boston. Obviously, we know the Lakers love it to stick it to the Celtics in any capacity, any way, whenever. But then you go to Philly and you get blown out. Magic has to fly across the country from LA to Philly to basically have this, everybody settle down, everybody, bring it all back in. Let's get focused on finishing out the year, come to Jesus meeting with all the players. And by all the players, really, I mean all the younger and or accessory pieces who are not named LeBron James. Now, the JaVale McGee's and the Rondos and the Lance Stevensons of the world, those guys are all seasoned vets. They know the lay of the land. They know some of the more bullshit elements of it. But a Kuzma and a Ball and an Ingram, kids who grew up in the social media age, for them to get on whatever every day and see, oh, well, you guys are bums. You guys are just trade pawns. Fuck you guys. You suck. Anthony Davis. We're going to get Anthony Davis. And I don't mean this as a shot at the millennial generations. Hell, I'm a part of the millennial generation technically. But a spade is a spade. From an emotional standpoint, they're in a different place from people who were born 10, 15 years prior. And it had a tangible effect. And I think now it's becoming a question of how locked in are these guys going to be for the rest of the year? Are they even interested in making a playoff run, really, in their current state? I'm not 100% sure.
I mean, I think once it gets here. Now it's a matter of that they got to fucking get there. I think once the playoffs get there, if they're able to, as it stands right now, they are the 10th seed in the West. The Clippers are 8th, but I think the kind of consensus is the way the Clippers kind of played their trade deadline out, that free fall is going to start. Sacramento is kind of playing above their heads right now, and LeBron's been out for a month. So I think
just about.
I think the climb is about to kind of start for the Lakers. I think they could make the playoffs. 8 seed, 7 seed. And that first round matchup is going to be crucial. Because if they end up in the 8th seed, that's going to be tough. That's going to be tough for LeBron's season to end against Golden State for the 5th year in a row.
Oh yeah, that would be bad.
Now, if they end up as the 7th seed, if it was right now, if the playoffs didn't, well, I say right now, but if the current top seeds hold, they play Denver. I don't know. Denver's playing good ball. They're playing lights out. But I joke around that one of my favorite players to watch is playoff Rondo. Playoff Rondo is like playoff Eli Manning. Like it's a whole other it's almost like a lockable character in a video game.
Yeah, he just goes into a different.
His eyes glaze over, and he just I could have swore there was one night in the playoffs. Rondo had like a 50 point game for the Celtics, and he was just throwing up everything, and it was going in. That's the kind of shit Rondo, when he gets locked in, that's the kind of shit he does. Lance Stevenson's another one. Sure, he's averaging like 7 points a game right now, but when the playoffs hit, he's going to start annoying the other team's best player, which takes that other team's best player out of it.
Right.
The matchup I'm kind of rooting for, because I think a Denver Lakers, I don't really know how that one would fall. I know Denver's a better team, obviously. But I don't think they have the experience that some of the players in the Lakers do. The matchup that I would love to see in the first round, but I don't know that it would happen, is OKC versus the Lakers. Russell Westbrook, Paul George, LeBron in a fucking first round playoff game together, or first round playoff series. I don't think the Lakers are going to make a deep run. They weren't built this year to make a deep run. That's not what that wasn't the championship was never the expected end result of this team. It was kind of an evaluation year for LeBron. I know we joke around a lot about LeBron handpicks his team. That's essentially what's going on.
LeBron, the de facto GM.
Yeah.
And
LeBron's he's kind of evaluating, like, can I win with these guys? And he's gonna run it by the guys in charge in LA, Pelinka and Magic, and be like, look, Ball is what he is. Ingram took a step back. So they're gonna evaluate what this team is now that they've got some of it together. A lot of guys on 1-year deals, a lot of guys still young enough where they could be moved, and there's still some question about what they can do in their career, like Lonzo. So I think the big push for the Lakers is going to be next year and the year after, and LeBron's got 4 years, and we kind of knew this first year was going to be kind of a mulligan. So
yeah,
playoffs, first round, maybe.
Yeah, my overall sentiments are similar. However, with regard to their playoff chances, if they get in, I could see them getting past, well, obviously, unless it's Golden State. If they get in, I could see them getting past a team like Denver that doesn't really have the experience in that spot. I could maybe even see them getting past a Houston, just because I feel like at some point or another, James Harden is going to run out of juice. Like, the fatigue from the stretch that he's been on, which is very, very recognizable and commendable, by the way. Like, I imagine him getting to late April, just being burned out. But yeah, I don't see them getting past a second round matchup, whoever the hell it is. But my feelings in terms of their overall state right now pertaining to playoffs and just in general, if I'm even remotely inclined for the Lakers organization, hey, New Orleans, fuck you guys forever. They deliberately put all that news out there knowing good and hell well they weren't going to accept that fucking trade. They wanted to create a cloud of doubt and apprehension and discomfort among all those younger guys in a backwards effort to fuck the Lakers season. Who owns the Pelicans?
Same family that owns the Saints.
The Saints, who lost to the L.A. Rams. This is the third fucking podcast in a row. We've been shitting on all this New Orleans just virgin bullshit, but you keep giving us more cannon fodder. Don't tell me for 1 second that that family who also owns the Pelicans, first off, you got NFL people running your NBA franchise who probably don't really know what they're doing. I mean, in 7 years, Anthony Davis has played with one All-Star, Boogie Cousins. Other than that,
for like half a year.
Yeah,
or a year and a half.
Who else is there? David Stern, the prior commissioner prior to Adam Silver, straight up said that GM for the Pelicans is lousy. He doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. Name dropped him the whole nine. Like, New Orleans has been showing their ass for a month straight now, man. This shit is not a good look. And granted, I'm not saying anyone is obligated to help the fucking Lakers. No, you don't. But
or even, I mean, you don't even have to accept the trade. Nobody's even bitching about them turning saying not even like, I don't say not responding, but no one says you have to accept the trade.
Right.
But for them to not even respond and then to leak it out, they leaked every trade,
all of it.
Not even they didn't do it to everybody, because I'm sure there were other offers that were made besides the Lakers. They only leaked Lakers offers, and they did that shit deliberately to. I mean, what was it? The one reporter that come out and said, no, dude, that shit. If it looks that way, it is that way. They deliberately leaked those offers to cause tension in the Lakers locker room.
Despite everything that we've gone through for the last 3 weeks, overall, big picture, Saints fan base, I do have respect for you. LSU fan base, ton of respect for y'all. Pelicans fan base, I'm sure there are some real amongst you, but most of the other people who show up to Smoothie King Arena, I'm pretty sure that's still the naming rights. They're there just as something to do. They're not really inclined or invested into the team, and it shows in the attendance because half of those people don't even show up. And this is how you're conducting business for the franchise. All the powerful agents are going to start talking to each other, and they're going to filter that information down to free agents and younger guys. Also, GMs of other teams, everybody's going to look at this whole sequence of events and be like, okay, yeah, the other side was the Lakers. No one's really trying to help them. But at the same time, do we really want to do business with the Pelicans in the future? I think they need to move them right on into Seattle, rename that bitch, and keep it the fuck moving.
I mean, and that's what's crazy.
How the fuck is New Orleans a part of the Western Conference?
Oh no, man! The realignment definitely needs to be done. They're in the West, but Milwaukee's in the East. Hell, Memphis is in the fucking West.
Yeah, that whole situation is just. It was a mess and a half. It was a bad look, kind of on both sides, but I'll go ahead and give that an 80-20 for the Pelicans. They Oh, no, nah, that was not a good look. That shit was not sexy at all.
No.
And last but not least, from ArcLight 545, what are your feelings about the AAFL? I'm pretty sure he's referring to the Allegiance Alliance Football. They had an incredible first weekend. Arizona and Orlando had incredible games. This new league is going to be epic. Now, we were talking a little bit about this before the show, so I'll go ahead and let you elaborate.
One of the first things that I saw today after the AAF, their first slate of games, one of the things that came out was the Saturday night games actually outdrew in viewers the NBA game of the week, which I think I believe was the Warriors and the Warriors and Golden State, if I'm correct. Let me see. It was Saturday night. No, it wasn't Warriors Golden State. What's today? Today's the 11th, so we need to look at the ninth. Excuse me. It wasn't Warriors. It was Oklahoma City. It was the Thunder and the Rockets.
Right.
That was the primetime game, and the AAF had more viewers than that game. Now I don't think that was any kind of knock on the NBA. We know the NBA is still the NBA. We're still pre All-Star break. I believe the ratings for NBA go up like big time. They shoot up after the All-Star break.
Oh yeah,
but it was
every single year.
I believe it was more like kind of curiosity. Like I tuned in, just morbid curiosity of what the fuck is this game going to be like? Because we've seen this before. We've seen spring football leagues pop up with varying success. Actually, no, not varying success. With the same amount of success, they fucking shit the bed after sometimes in less than a season.
Right.
This one's a little different in that it had nationally televised games on CBS, and they also have the backing of the NFL because their Sunday night game was on the NFL Network, which to me that's been a big hurdle for previous spring football leagues, is that I don't say get the blessing, but they don't get the support of the NFL.
Right.
A lot of kind of the mismanagement of these spring football leagues is they are. I'm trying to find the best way to put this. Even if you're selling the same product as someone else, you don't necessarily have to shit on the other product to hold yours up.
Right.
Like, I don't know, like, okay, just as an example, I guess Burger King and McDonald's isn't a good thing. Coke and Pepsi, okay? That we know they're competitors. They're fucking like been competitors for years. No commercials for Coke come out and say, hey, drink Coke because fuck Pepsi or Pepsi is shitty.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, drink Coke. You'll like it. They never come out and shit on the competitor.
Yeah. This weekend, for instance, Nike is going to release a ton of shit in, correlation with Fall Star Weekend. They don't need to come out and say, hey, here are all these basketball shoes, and by the way, fuck all those running shoes that Adidas been selling. Like,
yeah, you don't have to. And I think that's been a common mistake for a lot of these spring football leagues. That was the mistake of the XFL the first time around. Is when it came out, it was marketed as, oh, we're going to make football more fun. You don't have to. It's fucking football.
Yeah.
People will watch.
And more tough.
Yeah, we're tougher. Stronger. It's going to be we're going to actively encourage like cheerleaders to date players. Like, no, you don't have to do that. Like,
yeah, we don't give a shit about
that. The football is the selling point. Just say, hey, it's spring football. You like football? Give it a chance. And I think that's what the AAF did. Is they took, and plus they got a lot of familiar faces. Like the head coach for the Orlando Apollos is Steve Spurrier. of Florida Gator, Heisman Trophy, national championship winning Florida former Washington Redskins head coach.
Yeah.
So plus there's some name recognition with some of the players. They did a really good job. I actually like their Facebook page. They did a really good job of kind of marketing like, hey, this is a second chance for these guys. And then I actually watched the halftime of the Orlando Atlanta game, and they were interviewing the head coaches, and they were asking them like, hey, how would you feel if one of your guys got the call from an NFL team? And they would be like, well, we would shake his hand and say, hey, thanks for playing for our team. Go to the next opportunity. This is going to be great. And
Right.
the next guy would come in and fill that role. It's not like, oh, we're building something better here. It's not like the USFL back in the early 80s that kind of, they were directly trying to compete with the NFL. It was, oh, we're going to steal players. A lot of people don't realize that's where that's why juniors are now eligible to or 3 years out of high school. That's why they're eligible to declare for the NFL draft now, because the USFL was basically stealing players. They were saying, fuck it. We don't care if you graduate. We don't care if you're a senior. Come sign with us. We'll pay you big money.
Right.
And
if memory serves me correct, that's also the reason why the current commander in chief doesn't have positive feelings for the NFL.
Yeah, because I mean, in politics aside, he tried to go head to head with the NFL. The USFL was a spring football league. And watch the 30 for 30, man. It's anybody who's listening. The 30 for 30 it's great. Politics aside, this is before he ran for office. Trump was the owner, I believe, of the New Jersey Generals. And then he became kind of the mouthpiece of ownership, which kind of like Jerry Jones is now with the NFL. Like when he speaks, it kind of like, oh, that's where the NFL owners are coming from. Trump decided like, he decided to get some other owners on board to like, hey, we need to compete directly with the NFL. Let's sue the NFL. And they did. They actually sued the NFL because they called them a monopoly. And technically Trump won, but he only won the amount of like $1 and something. Like he won the lawsuit, and he was seeking like millions of dollars in damages, and the court only awarded him like $1. And if you believe the rumors, that's kind of why he's been blacklisted from ever owning a team, because apparently he tried to buy the Buffalo Bills at one point, and the NFL was like, oh, fuck you, no. And
yeah,
so if you believe the rumors, that's why he kind of went at the NFL as hard as he did when the thing was going on. But I mean, we've seen the spring football league shit before. I do feel like this one's different. Opening, I mean, the XFL rating openings, 10, 15 years ago, they were great. And then they trailed off as the season went. So I'm kind of interested to see if the AAF can maintain this. I know the big highlight of the weekend was that San Diego quarterback damn near dying. And I made the joke. I made the joke before we started recording that you best believe if Brady or Breeze or Rodgers had been hit like that, they wouldn't have just thrown a flag. They would have arrested the defensive player. Like he would have been in cuffs. He'd have been in a fucking holding cell at the end of the game. Like it was bad.
Let me kind of elaborate on that and give some levels. If that would have been Rodgers, he would have been held in the detention center for a full 48 hours. If that would have been Breeze, he would have been sent to either Rikers Island in New York City or San Quentin here in Northern California. And people who are aware of more infamous jails and prisons, yeah, you know what those two are about. Had that been Tom Brady, fuck California and fuck New York, they would have sent his ass to Texas, and he would be in death row to get the electric chair right now. Yeah. So yeah, I'm in agreement in terms of when it's football with legitimacy. Hell, you can broadcast a high school game on local cable access. And the people who aren't at the game, they'll tune in because it's football. You don't have to oversell it. You don't have to be over the top. And I feel like the only reason Vince McMahon is trying to reboot the XFL is he knows that, okay, if we try this thing again with legitimacy and without all the gimmicky stuff and trying to work in the kayfabe wrestling type elements, like, no. If it's football and guys are running good routes and catching passes and making tackles, someone's going to watch in some capacity. And it's up to you to curate it to be of high quality.
I mean, and it makes sense. Like, football it's so fucking like popular that why not? And that's one of the things, like with the CFL, like Canadian football. Mm-hmm. If I was them, if I was the commissioner of the Canadian Football League, I would do my damnedest to try to sell it to. They actually came down. They had CFL teams in the United States back in the 80s, and mm-hmm. And they tried to do it in cities that didn't have NFL teams. The problem with that is what I would try to do if I was a CFL is I would move it to the summertime, because nobody want to play football in the wintertime in fucking Canada. Is I would try to move it to, because obviously in Canada, the summertime, I don't know what the fucking average temperature is in Canada, but I don't imagine it's anything like summertime in Georgia.
It's not hot and humid like Miami or wherever else.
So that's what I would do. Spring football in like Atlanta and Orlando, that's fine. That works because the humidity hasn't kicked in yet. Like, this is it's a 10 game season for the AAF. So they're going to be over by April, maybe.
Yeah, like late April.
So, and that's going to give us the perfect lead up to the draft. We'll be able to focus our draft coverage, relax, and then you get the draft, and then that leads kind of right into free agency, and then you get another league going. Well, we got to have year-round football, man, and I'd be down with that.
Yeah, I could see it. If they're smart about it and they stay on top of their P's and Q's and don't try to get overzealous, like, I can see both the AAF. It's going to be a while before we get these acronyms down, folks, so bear with us.
I mean, who the fuck chose that? Like, that they couldn't have chosen anything easier than AAF. Like, that sounds like a retirement plan.
They kind of got to work on that a little bit. But yeah, that and the XFL.
And there's
legitimacy behind it. Like, I can see both working out.
I want to say, dude, there's another one that they were actually talking about. They were talking about on the radio a couple days back. Oh shit! I think no, that's not it. Spring Football League. There was another one that they were talking about where it was it was invested in by the players. Like, the players are, think of it like the Green Bay. The Green Bay is like owned by the
it's publicly owned.
The publicly owned. Well, that's the way these teams are going to be. They're going to be publicly owned, but it's going to be publicly owned by the players.
So the players have the shares.
Yes. I'm trying to fucking think.
That's interesting.
Let's see. I'm trying to think. There's it's supposed to start here very soon. Okay. Hold on. Let's see. They have the American Patriot League. That's supposed to kick off in 2019, but it's so organized that it was supposed to kick off this year, but they don't even have like team names yet. So yeah, the American Patriot League is one. Then we have another one supposed to kick off.
And these are leagues that are already set up and are about to start, or they're like,
well, in
the process.
the American Picture League was actually supposed to start. Now we also have the Freedom Football League. It was actually announced by Ricky Williams on ESPN's Outside the Lines, December 6th of 2018. So just a couple months ago. The league was planning it's to be made of private and public equity offerings. ESPN reports there's no set first season date. Sporting News indicated the 2020 for the first season. The league has told multiple sources that the league will start in March of 2020. They already have a Western Conference and an Eastern Conference. They also have 10 teams. Let's see, a lot of them. One team has an existing NFL city. You have the Oakland Panthers, the Oklahoma City Power, the Portland Progress, the San Diego Warriors, the Texas Revolution, which are in San Antonio, the Birmingham Kings, the Connecticut Underground, the Florida Strong in Orlando, the Ohio Players in Cleveland, and the St. Louis Independents. The founders, you'll be very interested: Ricky Williams, Terrell Owens, Byron Chamberlain, Simeon Rice, Jeff Garcia, and Dexter Jackson. It will be private funding, public offerings allowing fans to be part owners of their respective teams. When the FFL was announced, co-founder Ricky Williams stated there are approximately 100 initial stakeholders, including 50 former NFL players. League would be owned by the players, fans, and the operators. This is the one I was talking about. So
that is a very interesting, just the nature of that setup, and obviously,
it's going to be a direct competition with the XFL.
Yeah, but obviously, it's striking a chord in terms of the way that it's set up and how it's managed, because that many ex-players are involved and invested.
So, I mean, and of course, we know the XFL is coming. They're not kind of reviving any of their old
theatrics.
No, they're sticking to. I mean, there's a couple cities or teams that they have that don't have a. Let's see what St. Louis is the only one. Yeah. So of the 8 teams that they've announced, St. Louis is the only one that doesn't have a football team. So I mean, I don't know, man. It's crazy. I think the big thing for the XFL though is they're going to do something that the NFL has yet to kind of do. They're going to open up gambling big time with the XFL. Because I don't know if you realize this, Vince McMahon actually owns a minority stake in DraftKings. So
that's that reveals another reason behind what his core motivations were in terms of the reboot, the revival. Because to kind of wrap things up, honestly, I can see all of these different spring organizations, like we say, if they're well run and if they're smart in their approach, having success. But having another avenue for there to be gambling in regards to football, particularly after obviously the King League, the NFL is done, that's a relevant factor for them to be sustainable.
I mean, the XFL's already kind of got a couple kind of really big names in place. Obviously, everybody knows Vince McMahon. They named their first head coach. The Dallas franchise in the XFL, they named Bob Stoops, former Oklahoma Sooners head coach, as the first head coach in this league. They actually also Andrew Luck's dad, Oliver Luck, former quarterback, is the commissioner of the XFL.
No shit.
Yeah, he was He see
Okay,
he
so
was the what's crazy enough is his dad has got experience like all over the place. Andrew Luck's dad. He was a NFL quarterback for the Houston Oilers. He was also the first president and general manager of the Major League Soccer Houston Dynamo team. And they actually won championships under him. So he was also a part of the bowl selection committee, not bowl selection, the first ever playoff committee in college football. So he has been all over the fucking place. He's
yeah,
president of NFL Europe.
there's gonna be way more legitimacy to the XFL this time, bro.
Yeah.
Like it's, and we're gonna go ahead and cover it because fuck it. Like to your point, it's football, it's fair, and like Jeremy says, we're trying to bring as much content to you folks as possible. So yeah, expect some XFL chatter next year. Um, as we're wrapping up, and again, another thank you to our participants for our Q&A. Um, is there anything? I know you have your shitty shout outs, but in a broader sense, is there anything else that you're looking to get off your chest with regard to everything going on in sports right now?
I think I'm ready for the now that the NFL has kind of wound down. I'm ready for this is the mock draft season, free agency. This is one of my favorite parts of the year in regards to football. Obviously, football being on is great, but the mock drafts, the lead ups, the going into it and scouting players and free agency and all that shit. I enjoy that. We the last week or so, we kind of got our first taste of that with Kareem Hunt, and then my Falcons releasing a couple longtime players. So it's already started, even if it's my team releasing guys who both, funny enough, I want to say the two of the three guys that got released by my Falcons actually ended up getting signed by the Cardinals. So that's kind of funny.
Right.
But yeah, man, this is one of my favorite times of year. I'm gonna keep an eye on the God damn it, AAF. I gotta work on that acronym.
Yeah.
We're just gonna call it spring football. I'm keeping an eye on these other leagues, man. I know this usually is our kind of slow time of year until the playoffs really get kicking in the NBA, but sports, I'm all for it. I'm like Adam Schefter on the fucking phone at all times, keeping an eye on everything.
Yeah. It's definitely a very fluid movement, even after, like we said earlier, the dust of a Super Bowl settles. There's a whole lot to stay engaged and to pay attention to. As far as shout outs go, this is a little bit abstract, but I want to give a shout out to everyone who is a diehard fan, regardless of the athlete or the sport or the league or whatever, who have the sense and the courtesy to treat athletes not like circus animals, but like human beings. I was running around to a few different malls today to get my raffle tickets for the Jordan Infrared 6s that are coming out on Saturday. And at the second mall I went to, as I'm approaching the Shoe Palace store, casually walking out, minding his own business, just like any other, regular individual, none other than Marshawn Lynch. You're probably thinking like, oh my God, that's Pat's guy. That Mayor of Oakland dude on Jeremy Sports videos, that's his guy. I didn't get all up in his face, asking for a picture, taking the videos. Hey, can you sign this? Can you sign that? Let me take off my shoe. I didn't do any of that shit. I've seen Marshawn. I've seen and very briefly spoken to Derek Carr. In LA last year, I met Andre 3000. When I lived in Tampa, Bautista routinely walked into the store because the WWE training facility is in Tampa. Between all these various incidents of meeting and in one case briefly speaking to a public figure, I'm not going out of my way to just do the TMZ paparazzi, oh, let me get a picture. Like, I think there's a certain appreciation, particularly with athletes in this social media age, when you can recognize that they're out and about just trying to go about their business as a normal person or as normal as they can be, and you don't throw all that at them. Not to say that they don't appreciate their fans or that they wouldn't if you did, but silently, I think there's a little bit of a relief when you don't do all that. So, that's where I'm at with that. Although if I find myself running into him a second time, I might have to get him to plug Sports Wars. Might have to do it. Just might have to do it.
You just got to keep a T-shirt in your car and just toss him one.
Yeah, just got to do it. See, have a logo on them, and then boom, that's how it goes. But in any case, folks, we are going to go ahead and wrap up for this week. Like always, leave a comment down below with any feedback you have, thoughts, questions, concerns. Check out our Sports Wars group on Facebook. Check out our Geeks and Gamers website. Like we always say, there's a whole lot going on aside from just Jeremy and what Jeremy thinks and says. It's a very diverse group of people, group of thought, and we do a lot of cool shit here, so stay tuned. That's all we got, and we'll catch you all next week. Peace.
As always, fuck Tom Brady.